Today, we're diving into how Haymitch's past influenced him as a mentor. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lucy and I'm really happy to have you. I hope you stick around. To truly understand how Haymitch's past shaped the way he mentors, we need to revisit the Haymitch we thought we knew, and then slowly, deliberately link every part of his mentorship to the life that formed him. Haymitch's past is finally explored in the Hunger Games prequel Sunrise on the Reaping. This story takes place before the original Hunger Games trilogy, but after the 10th Hunger Games explored in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Sunrise on the Reaping centers on the 50th Hunger Games, the second Quarter Quell. The Hunger Games is a yearly punishment imposed on the district after the rebellion against the capital. Each district is forced to send 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl, to fight to the death. With 12 districts, 24 children enter the arena, 23 will die. 1 victor will emerge. The capital citizens are the primary audience. The games exist not only as punishment but as control, a reminder of what happens when the districts resist. Every 25 years, a Quarter Quell changes the rules of the games. Haymitch Games take place during the second Quarter Quell, the 50th Hunger Games, where the number of tributes is doubled. Before we talk about what happened to Haymitch in the arena or how his trauma shaped the way he mentored Katniss and Peeta, we need to understand the man we met long before this story existed. When we first meet Haymitch Abernathy, he's broken, constantly drunk, bitter, emotionally distant. For years, that was all we knew of him. In the first Hunger Games book, Haymitch is introduced as the only surviving victor from District 12. In 74 years, making him just the second victor the district ever produced. We later learn that the first was Lucy Greybird, whose story is told in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Haymitch's victory, however, came at a devastating cost. He's repeatedly described as reeking of alcohol, unkempt and careless about his appearance. He doesn't bother to bathe. This isn't simple neglect. This level of disregard reflects the depth of his misery. Everything we know about Haymitch at this point is filtered through Katniss Everdeen's narration. We see him exactly as she understands him. Broken, careless, and written off by most people as a drunk. That's important because Katniss doesn't know his past. She doesn't know what the capital took from him. She only knows the man standing in front of her, someone who appears to have given up. But then something happens. The moment that wakes him up. The moment Katniss volunteers for praying. For the first time, he comes alive. He steps forward and says, almost triumphantly, "Lot of spunk." Then he points at the camera and adds, "More than you." In this context, spunk doesn't mean attitude. It means courage, spirit, determination, and that moment matters because it tells us that Haymitch had been waiting for years, possibly decades, for someone from District 12 to show real courage. Not survival instincts, not quiet endurance, but courage. And when Katniss volunteers for her sister, hope briefly returns. To Haymitch, courage is rare and courage is dangerous. But it is also opportunity because courage leads to defiance, and defiance is the pathway to rebellion. The rebellion had to start somewhere, and in that moment, when Katniss volunteers for praying, a spark is lit. A star rises in District 12. Haymitch understands something Katniss doesn't yet. The capital does not fear violence. The capital fears meaning. They fear symbols. They fear courage that inspires others. They fear moments that make people question obedience. Haymitch has lived long enough to know this. So when he sees Katniss volunteer, not out of strategy, not out of calculation, but out of love, he recognizes it immediately. This is the kind of courage that changes things, and it wakes him up. Early on, Katniss reassures Prim of something important. She tells her she won't go down without a fight, and that one day they will be rich like Haymitch. And she's right. Haymitch is rich, but his wealth exists for a tragic reason. He is a victor with no family left to spend it on. His money goes almost entirely to liquor. His riches are not a symbol of success. They are a reminder of everything he has lost. Every bottle is a way to forget. Every drink is a way to survive another day with the memories. His wealth, however, also becomes part of his mentorship, regardless of how he uses it. Katniss also notices something else early on, something subtle but important. The way Effie Trinket speaks about Haymitch. Effie treats Haymitch's behavior as rough manners. something that could be corrected with etiquette and structure. But Effie knew Haymitch long before Katniss ever met him, and that matters because it explains why Effie tolerates him more than she complains about him. Beneath her capital politeness, there is understanding and there is respect. Effie knows Haymitch isn't just a drunk victor, he's a mentor with a crucial role to play, because without Haymitch, Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark do not survive. Effie also knew Haymitch when he was a tribute. She witnessed, at least in part, the suffering the Capitol put him through. Even though she remains blinded by Capitol ideology, she understands that Haymitch isn't careless by choice, and because of that, she respects him and tolerates him as part of her team. One of the most revealing moments between Haymitch, Katniss, and Peeta happens quietly. After Haymitch sleeps, falls, and misses their first supper, Katniss and Peeta take him back to his room. Katniss suggests calling Capitol staff to clean him up. Peeta refuses. He says he will do it himself. That moment matters. Peeta recognizes something familiar in Haymitch. He doesn't fully understand Haymitch's trauma, but he understands what the games do to people. Helping Haymitch isn't pity, it's recognition, and by doing so, Haymitch must have seen something of himself in Peeta. Someone who cared for others in suffering, just as Haymitch once did for fellow tributes in his own games. Katniss, by contrast, is harsher. She openly detests Haymitch. She blames him for District 12's long failure to produce a victor, and yet, she admits she doesn't truly know him. The only version of Haymitch she has ever seen is the one in the hall, throwing handfuls of money at the woman who sells white liquor. That's all she has. I see Katniss as the merged good and bad of Haymitch, and Peeta as the innocent part of who Haymitch once was. The part that still believes kindness can matter even in a system designed to crush it. Before the games, Haymitch's advice is painfully simple. Stay alive. At first, Katniss and Peeta don't understand him. He gives them very little in return. But they soon realize something important. If they want real help, they have to fight for his attention. Eventually, they succeed. For the first time in years, Haymitch sees tribute willing to fight. Staying alive is the only thing that matters. Even if one of them survives, especially Katniss, the rebellion can move forward. And Katniss matters to Haymitch personally, although he appears distant. Katniss is like family to him because of his friendship with Brother Everdeen, Katniss' father, which we learn about in Sunrise on the Ripping. They were best friends. Keeping Katniss alive means Haymitch does not become the reason his best friend's daughter dies in the games, and that matters more to him than he ever says out loud. Haymitch eventually makes a deal with both Katniss and Peeta. If they don't interfere with his drinking, he will stay sober enough to help them. On the surface, it sounds selfish, but what follows tells a very different story. Almost immediately, Haymitch begins showing up, clean, properly dressed, sober, focused. This is not coincidence. It proves something crucial. Haymitch was never incapable. He was unmotivated by hopelessness. For years, he had been mentoring children he knew were going to die. For years, he watched the Capitol crush any spark before it could grow. But now, for the first time in a long time, he sees possibility. And when Haymitch sees possibility, he becomes strategic, almost dangerous in his cleverness, something we later understand much better through Sunrise on the Ripping. After the Chariot Parade in the 74th Hunger Games, Haymitch asks a question that reveals everything. Whose idea was the hand-holding? When he's told it was Sina's idea, Haymitch replies, just the perfect touch of rebellion. That line is doing a lot of work. Haymitch understands that rebellion does not have to be loud to be effective. In fact, loud rebellion is often the fastest way to die. This matters because in his own games, Haymitch did the opposite. He carried Luella McCoy's body to the president. Luella McCoy was a 13-year-old District 12 tribute, Haymitch's ally, who died in a fatal accident during the Chariot Parade. Haymitch forced the Capitol to look directly at what they had done. He presented her body to the president and began to clap slowly. It was sarcasm, mockery, open defiance, and that moment is exactly why Snow summoned him afterwards. Haymitch learned the cost of visible rebellion the hard way, so when he sees Katniss and Peeta holding hands, something subtle, emotional, symbolic, he recognizes something he didn't have at the time. A way to challenge the Capitol without inviting immediate annihilation. That is why he tells Katniss to do exactly what her stylist says. And this is where my speculation comes in. I strongly believe Haymitch understood that Cinna was not just a stylist. Whether or not Haymitch knew the full extent of Cinna's alignment with Plutarch, he recognized a shared understanding that symbols move faster than weapons, that love is more dangerous than anger, and that rebellion works best when it looks harmless. From this point on, Haymitch proves himself a highly capable mentor. He tells Katniss and Peeta, do not reveal your skills too early. Save them for the private sessions with the game makers. Stay together, appear amiable. Without fully realizing it, Katniss and Peeta are being shaped into allies and symbols. Haymitch understands alliances because alliances once saved him. In his own games, the strongest alliances were between two groups, the carriers and the newcomers, the non-carrier tributes. The newcomers only stood a chance because of that alliance. Haymitch remembers this and he applies that knowledge immediately. During the private session with the game makers, Katniss and Peeta make powerful choices. Katniss hangs a dummy and writes Seneca Crane's name on it. Peeta paints Rue after Katniss decorates her body. These moments are meaningful. They are emotional. They are deeply human, but they are also dangerous. Haymitch understands something Katniss and Peeta don't yet fully grasp. Visibility is risk. Every time the Capitol notices you, it learns how to punish you. Every time you become a symbol, you become a target. Haymitch learned this lesson through pain, not theory. When Katniss and Peeta fail to choose allies themselves, Haymitch intervenes. Quietly, he selects allies for them, tributes who are already aligned with the rebellion. And crucially, he keeps Katniss and Peeta largely in the dark. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of Haymitch mentorship. Some people see it as manipulation. I see it as protection. For Haymitch, ignorance is not weakness. Ignorance is survival. Because the less Katniss and Peeta know, the less they can be forced to reveal under pressure. And this decision, more than almost any other, is directly shaped by Haymitch's past. In his own games, Haymitch formed an alliance with the newcomers, the non-carrier tributes, but after Snow threatened him, after making it clear that his actions would determine what happened to him next, Haymitch made a desperate decision. He went solo. Not because he wanted to be alone, but because he needed to remove attention. Haymitch had become too visible, too defiant, too openly resistant. Going solo was a way to change the narrative, to survive long enough to think. And that experience stays with him. This is why he does not want the same attention on Katniss and Peeta, especially Katniss, because if Katniss survives, she becomes something larger than a victor. She becomes the Mockingjay. And Haymitch promised to Lenore Dove that the sun would not rise on another Ripon stays alive. To Haymitch, survival is not just about living, it's about lasting long enough to finish what he started. After Katniss shoots an arrow through the apple in the pig's mouth during her private session, she asks Haymitch a simple question. Do you think they will arrest me? Haymitch replies calmly that it will be too much trouble to replace her. That line isn't casual. Haymitch knows this because he has seen it happen. Luella McCoy died during the Chariot Parade. In case you haven't read the book, Luella is one of the District 12 tributes during Haymitch's game, and the Capitol replaced her with a double, a girl made to look exactly like her. The Capitol does not care about individuals, it cares about continuity. Another crucial strategy begins with Peeta, the star-crossed lover's narrative, but Haymitch helps shape it. As someone who has loved deeply and lost everything because of it, Haymitch understands what real love looks like. Peeta later confirms that Haymitch coached him on how to execute the strategy. And when Katniss asks Haymitch if he told Peeta what to do following the Night Lockberry stunt, when he informs her that they are both in trouble, Haymitch replies, I don't have to, he's already there. That line matters because it confirms something Haymitch recognizes immediately. Peeta isn't acting, and Haymitch knows the Capitol cannot fully control something genuine. One of Haymitch's most important pieces of advice is deceptively simple. Run, find water, the rest will follow. This advice mirrors the guidance Max once gave to Haymitch during his own games. That advice saved his life, and now Haymitch passes it on. This is how trauma becomes mentorship, not through speeches, but through survival logic, passed down quietly. After the Night Lockberry stunt, Haymitch gives Katniss a serious warning. The Capitol cannot stand being laughed at, and now they are the joke of Panem. Haymitch understands exactly what that means because his own suffering came without warning. No one warned him what Snow would do after the games ended. So he warns Katniss. He tells her that love, or at least the appearance of it, may be her only protection. The clearest account of Haymitch's own games before sunrise on the Ripping comes later in Catching Fire, when Katniss and Peeta watch the recap on the train to the capital. His arena is beautiful, and almost everything in it is poison. Poison in the water, poison in the air, poison in the fruit, poison in the flowers. Almost everything can kill you. The only safe water is rainwater. The only reliable supplies are at the cornucopia. This matters because the arena mirrors the capital itself, a system where almost everything is designed to destroy you, and survival depends on knowledge, restraint, and intelligence. Haymitch does not win his games through brute strength. He wins by understanding the arena. He competes alongside with Mercily Donner, who saves his life. Mercily is the mayor's daughter and has a twin sister, Merrily. Merrily later becomes the mayor's wife and the mother of Marge. The Mockingjay pin originally belonged to Mercily. It was made by members of the Covey, Clark Carmine or Tamamba, and Mercily kept it hidden in a drawer because she hated it. Eventually, it is passed down to Marge, who then gives it to Katniss, and it's striking that this pin, once rejected, becomes the ultimate symbol of rebellion, because Mercily herself carried a fearless, rebellious spirit. Later, Haymitch exploits the arena's force field. He discovers that it rebounds objects after throwing a rock into it. Near a cliff, a District 1 tribute throws an axe at him. Before the weapon can reach him, Haymitch collapses, convulsing, holding his abdomen already wounded. The axe disappears into the abyss. Then it returns and buries itself in the tribut's head. That moment of intelligence secures Haymitch's victory, but intelligence in Panem is not rewarded. It is punished. Haymitch's mistake in the Capitol's eyes was not surviving, it was understanding too much. He didn't just win the games, he exposed the arena, and worse, he acted on that knowledge after being told to stop. His final act in the arena is an act of defiance. He blows up the force field in the abyss. Snow never forgives that. This is when Haymitch learns something crucial. The games don't end when you win. They end when the Capitol is finished punishing you, and the Capitol is never finished. This is why the final piece of advice Haymitch gives Katniss matters so much. Never forget who the real enemy is. Haymitch never forgot. In his own games, he never killed unnecessarily. The tribute he fought or killed came after him. His true target was always the system, the arena, the Capitol, and ultimately Snow. That clarity is what shapes his mentorship, because Haymitch understands something Katniss has to grow into. You can survive the games and still lose everything. We later learn in Mockingjay that Haymitch's mother, his younger brother, and his lover were killed 2 weeks after he was crowned victor. They were punished for the stunt he pulled with the force field. This is the full weight of his tragedy. After Katniss destroys the arena in Catching Fire, Peeta is captured by the Capitol. During one of his interviews with Caesar Flickerman, Peeta is asked whether Haymitch could be part of the conspiracy. That question matters because there is no proof. The fact that Haymitch is suspected but never charged reveals how careful he has been. Haymitch operates quietly, strategically, just far enough in the shadows, because he learned through suffering that open rebellion gets people killed and quiet rebellion lasts. Sunrise on the Ripping reframes everything we thought we knew. We learned that Ripping Day is Haymitch's birthday, a day that should be celebrated, turned into ritualized terror. The flint striker he carries, shaped like a bird on one side and a snake on the other side, is a birthday gift from Leonard Dove. It appears on the front cover of Sunrise on the Ripping. To the Covey, the bird represents song, small acts of rebellion. The snake represents the Capitol, power built on fear and poison, embodied by Coriolanus Snow himself. Haymitch's father is already dead. He died in a coal mine fire. Their family is known for rebellion, which raises questions, though it may also have simply been a mining accident, a known hazard of life in District 12. All Haymitch has left is his mother, whom he calls Ma, his 10-year-old brother Sid, and Leonard Dove, his girlfriend. Leonard Dove is part of the Covey, a nomadic group forced to settle in District 12 after the Capitol's victory. They are musicians, they love color. Their names are tied to color: Lucy Gray, Clark Carmine, Tam Amber, Billy Taupe, Leonard Dove. Lenore herself dislikes singing in public, but the legacy of music and resistance still defines her. Haymitch loves Lenore deeply. It is a quiet, devoted love similar to Peeta's. At this point in his life, Haymitch doesn't drink. He does, however, make white liquor to sell, working under a bootlegger named Hetty. It's something he sneaks out to do, much like Katniss sneaks out to hunt. His mother launders clothes for others, but it's never enough. They live in the same, the poorest area of District 12. Survival is already difficult before the games even begin. In this story, we meet Bardock, Everdeen, and Astrid, though not yet together, but we know they will eventually end up together. Bardock carries Covey blood on his mother's side. This quietly links Katniss' lineage to the Covey, to song, rebellion, and memory. We also see a younger Plutarch Heavensby, still working as a cameraman. He's already learning how propaganda shapes power. Already observing, already plotting. Haymitch's odds were never in his favor. He was not even originally ripped. 4 names are called, and none of them are his. Woodbine Clark is one of the male tributes chosen. He panics. He runs. The peacekeepers kill him. When Woodbine's mother begs for a final goodbye, Lenore Dove intervenes. She's daring, unafraid. A peacekeeper swings at her and Haymitch steps in, taking the blow meant for her. District 12 now needs a replacement. That replacement is Haymitch. Like Katniss years later, he becomes a tribute out of love. This is the moment Haymitch sees himself in Katniss, the instant she volunteers for prey. Haymitch also calls Katniss sweetheart. He once called Luella McCoy sweetheart as well, because Luella had a crush on him. It's possible Katniss reminds him of Luella. Luella represents his past and the beginning of his open rebellion against the Capitol. From the very beginning, Haymitch has everything working against him. President Snow marks him early. Before the games, District 12 had no mentor. Their only victor, Lucy Gray, has vanished. Instead, they are assigned mentors from other districts. Wireless from District 3 and Marks from District 4. This matters because these are the same victors Haymitch later trusts. They become part of a larger circle, one already connected to Beatty and Plutarch, a network quietly forming beneath the Capitol's notice. Haymitch is drawn into the circle not because he seeks rebellion, but because of his courage, shown during the Reaping and during the Chariots parade. During the games, the central plan is clear. Destroy the arena. Plutarch and Beatty lead this plan. Haymitch allies with Ampart Letier to carry it out. Ampart is Beatty's 12-year-old son. Beatty is forced to mentor his own child as punishment for tampering with Capitol's communication. Inside the arena, Haymitch and Ampart work together towards destruction. But Haymitch is never told the full truth. Plutarch allows him to believe he can destroy the arena alone with Ampart. In reality, in my opinion, Haymitch is being tested. Plutarch is observing his intelligence, his restraint, his ability to survive without full information. If Haymitch survives, he becomes useful. If he fails, the rebellion remains hidden. This, I believe, is why Haymitch later leads Katniss blindly, not out of cruelty, but out of experience. Haymitch attempts to drown the arena. Instead, he causes an earthquake. Realizing this isn't the true source of power, he begins searching for what actually controls it. Eventually, he finds the generator protected by the force field at the edge of the arena. And after being declared victor, Haymitch blows it up. That final act seals his fate. Ampart Letier is killed by a moth designed specifically for him. Nestle Dono is killed by Capitol-controlled moths designed specifically for her. These deaths permanently shape Haymitch. He survives, but he survives alone. The fact that the moths are designed for individual tributes echoes earlier games. It recalls Dr. Gaul and the 10th Hunger Games, where snake moths were engineered to attack unfamiliar scents. It's possible Coriolanus Snow carried this blueprint forward into the second Quarter Quell. This may be one of the earliest games that reminded Snow of Lucy Gray. In the end, Snow makes sure Haymitch understands the cost of defiance. Haymitch is forced to carry the bodies of the District 12 tributes who became his friends, people bound to him through shared suffering back home. This is his homecoming. Haymitch's family is burned alive. His mother, his younger brother, Lenore Dove, is poisoned, killed by gumdrops disguised as a gift from Haymitch himself. Everything he loves is taken. This is the Capitol's message. This is what finally breaks him, and yet it also cements his purpose. Because Haymitch made a promise to Lenore Dove that the sun would not rise on another Reaping. That promise becomes the reason he keeps living. Haymitch does not isolate himself out of bitterness. He isolates himself to protect others. He learned that proximity gets people killed, so he becomes distant, drunk, unapproachable, not because he doesn't care, but because caring openly is dangerous. I believe Snow may have ensured that District 12 never produces another Victor, so Haymitch would be blamed. And Katniss confirms this herself, blaming Haymitch for District 12's failure, which is exactly what the Capitol wants. Haymitch was not drunk and miserable for no reason. He was trained by suffering, shaped by loss, refined by punishment. Every warning he gives, every secret he keeps, every moment of restraint, all of it comes from experience. Haymitch didn't fail District 12. The Capitol made sure District 12 never stood a chance. And when Katniss arrives, Haymitch finally sees a way forward, not through rage, not through spectacle, but through survival. Haymitch's mentorship was never about winning the games. It was about lasting long enough to end them. And in the end, that is the greatest rebellion of all. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. And see you next time.